Hello students, you are welcome to today's lesson on punctuation marks and their functions. I am Romeso Adeyemo with the brand name English with RMG, and this video is proudly brought to you by IOTA Virtual Learning Platform. In this video, you are going to learn all you need to know about punctuation marks for you to become an excellent writer so that you can write effectively and pass across the exact meaning you intend to your readers. Also, you would learn all the tips and tricks you need to know about punctuation marks so that you can excel excellently in all of your written English examination. So, are you ready to learn with me today? Get your writing materials, stay tuned, and let's begin. So, this is the part 3 of this series on punctuation marks. I've done the first and the second part, and if you would like to watch that first, you can go to the description below to watch that first before you continue. Also, I've explained that punctuation marks are generally divided into two, which are the end marks and the internal marks. The end marks are three, which are the full stop, the question mark, and the exclamation mark. And now we are discussing the internal marks one after the other. So let's continue with the apostrophe. What is the apostrophe? Why do we need to use the apostrophe? Or what kind of meaning do we use the apostrophe to communicate in writing? So, the apostrophe is indicated with a upper stroke and it has two major functions in writing. So, let's look at the functions of the apostrophe in writing one after the other. So, function one, we have to show that a letter or letters have been missed out or omitted. So sometimes when we write, we missed out some words or some letters in the spelling of a word or group of words. So we use the apostrophe to indicate this. For example, we have she's for she is or she has. So that this apostrophe is telling our reader that, oh, I have omitted the space and I. If it is she is, or I have omitted the space H and A if it were to be she has. Do you understand? This is just a way of speaking. When we speak in English, we rush over some letters. So you can as well write like this sometimes. Example 2, we have she'd for she had or she would. Do you understand? So the apostrophe here is indicating that we have omitted HA or WOUL. Do you understand? So it could indicate just one letter or letters. Also, we could have I won't for I will not. The contraction form of I will not is what? I won't. Are you following? So when we missed out words like this, we can use the apostrophe to signify that, yes, we are not spelling this word in full. Also, we have he can't for he cannot. We have you are for you are. So instead of writing it in full, you could write it in the contraction form. So instead of I am, you could have what? Ham. Are you following? That is, you use the apostrophe to signify that I have omitted the space and a. Do you understand? This first function of the apostrophe. I want to believe that you are familiar with this function of the apostrophe. However, there is something that I would like you to take note of. First, if you want to write I'm coming, how do you write it? I've seen students write I'm coming as AM, then they write coming. No, I'm coming should be I apostrophe M, ham. That is the contraction form, not I'm coming, leaving out the subject totally. No. Ham coming should be I apostrophe M, then you have coming. Do you understand? So even if you are typing, you are chatting your friends on your phone, on socials, try to write correctly so that you're already familiar with the correct form of writing, even if you find yourself in a formal situation. Also, I would like you to know that contraction forms are generally regarded as informal form of writing. That is, all of the examples that I've given you, she's, she'd, I can't, all of those contractions, that is when you don't write the spelling in full, they are not allowed in formal essays, in formal writing, such as your formal letter, an article, a speech, a story. You want to write in an interview, do away with them. They are only allowed in informal writing. So if you are writing an informal letters, you are free to use the contraction form. If you are chatting with your friend, you are free. If you are on socials, you are free. But in formal setting, please do not use the contraction form. Write your spelling in full. Do not write I can't when what you're supposed to write is I cannot, because it is a formal situation. Do you understand? Do not write ham. Write I am. Do not write she'd or she's. Write she had or she would, or she is or she has. Do you understand? So now let's move on to the second function of the apostrophe, which is to show or indicate possession. So this is also a common function of the apostrophe. So how do we use the apostrophe to show possession? Let's look at a few examples. Example 1, we have the baby's blanket is soft. So one thing I want you to notice is that not just the apostrophe, we use the apostrophe plus S to show what? Possession. So we have the apostrophe here and the S behind the baby is telling us that the blanket actually belongs to who? The baby. Example 2, we have a friend's phone got stolen yesterday. So just we have the apostrophe plus the S to show us that the phone belongs to who? A friend, showing ownership, possession, using the apostrophe and S. So example 3, we have the students' artworks were displayed. So I would like you to note something here. Here, the S is coming first because it is the plural. So when you pluralize a regular noun like this and the word ends with S, do you understand? Put your apostrophe behind the S without another additional S, just only the apostrophe to show your words possession. Or if the word naturally ends with an S, just like James. So you say this is James's what? Artwork. James already ends with S, so you do not need to add an additional S. Just add an apostrophe at the end of it, and then you write whatever it is that belongs to James after. Do you understand? But if it is an irregular noun, such as children, it is plural, but it doesn't end with S. So you still need to add apostrophe plus S. So you are going to say, these are the children's shoe. Apostrophe S, then you have shoe. Do you understand? So now let's look at the common errors that are often associated with the use of the apostrophe. What are the common mistakes that students make, from my experience, with the use of the apostrophe? So you need to pay attention so that you can avoid making the same mistake. So the first error is wrong usage of apostrophe in possessive pronouns. Okay, so students make this mistake a lot. So what are possessive pronouns? Pronouns are words used instead of what? Nouns. So your is a pronoun. Yours is a possessive pronoun. So I'll say that these shoes are yours, or these shoes are your own. So instead of saying your own, I'll just say yours. Possessive pronoun. Her is a pronoun. Hers is a possessive pronoun. Our is a pronoun, a kind of personal pronoun, while as is a possessive what? Pronoun. Instead of saying the house is hers or the house is our own, I could say the house is what? Ours. Do you understand? Instead of saying this is their bag, I could say this bag is theirs. Do you understand? So in possessive pronouns like this, you do not need an apostrophe. It is naturally spelt with the S. It is not that you want to show ownership and then you say your apostrophe S. No. Yours is spelt without the apostrophe. Hers is spelt without the apostrophe. Hers is spelt without the apostrophe. Do you understand? So usually students make this mistake in informal letters when they want to end. Now they write yours sincerely. and they spell their yours as your apostrophe s. No, that's incorrect. You should say yours sincerely without the apostrophe. Also, do not say the bag is hers by writing her apostrophe s. No, the bag is hers without the apostrophe. That is the correct format because possessive pronouns do not need an apostrophe. Do you understand? Also, for its, this is where students make their mistakes mostly because we can actually have its with the apostrophe and we can have it without the apostrophe. So the dog hurts its leg. No, because here we are referring to possessive pronoun. The dog hurts its leg without the apostrophe. Correct. So how do you clear the confusion? You need to ask yourself, this apostrophe I want to add, this it I'm spelling, am I showing that some letters has been missed out? Do you understand? Is it that what you are supposed to write here is it is or it has? If it is or it has, that is when you need the apostrophe to show that, oh, some letters has been what? Omitted. But when in that context, you are not trying to say it is or it has, then it means that you want to use the it that is what? The possessive pronoun, which does not need the apostrophe. So that is one way to clear your confusion. Ask yourself, am I trying to spell it is or am I trying to spell it has? If I'm not trying to write it is or it has in the contraction form, then I do not need the apostrophe. I hope you understand. Now let's move on to the next punctuation mark, which is the quotation marks. Yeah, the quotation marks are also quite a common type of what? Punctuation marks. And they are of two types. Now let's look at it. Quotation marks are often used to separate words actually spoken by someone from the rest of a sentence. You may use the single or double quotation marks. However, whichever you adopt, you should be consistent with it. Likewise, if you begin with single, end with single. And if you begin with double, end with double. So, the quotation mark, you can actually have just one quote, just one upper stroke to open, another one upper stroke to close. Sometimes you could have it double. So sometimes you might be wondering that what is the difference between these two, the single and the double? It is actually the same. It's just that you have to be consistent. If you begin with a single, end with this single. Don't open your quotation mark with single and then you go and close it with double. No. And don't open with double and then you go and close with single. No. So now let's look at the functions of the quotation marks. Why do we need to use them in writing? Function number one is to enclose words and punctuations in a direct speech. That is, when you want to say something exactly the way that person has said it, then you need to put it in quotes because you are not the one that said it earlier. Do you understand? If your mommy say, keep short, Daniel, and you want to say, mommy said, keep short, Daniel, that's keep short, Daniel. You need to put it in quotes because you are saying it exactly the way mommy has said it. Do you understand? So, for example, we have, where are you going to? He asked. Example 2, we have, I'm going to the cinema. She replied. This is because I'm saying it directly. It is not a reported speech. It's a different thing if I say, he asked, where are you going to? That's no longer a direct speech. Do you understand? So, example 2, we have, to draw attention to a word that is unusual for the context. Okay, so this is quite what I would say that you should be familiar with. Even when you engage in a physical conversation with people, you will hear people say quote and unquote. This is what I mean. So sometimes when you say that this word is in quote, you are trying to say that I'm using this word for an unusual meaning. That is not the regular meaning that everybody know, not the dictionary meaning. I'm actually having another meaning behind it. So, for example, look at this. We have, after losing the multi-million contract, Emeka's boss congratulated him for a job well done. So you can say that congratulated is in quote. Well done is also what in quote. So if someone should lose a multi-million deal, the person does not deserve to be congratulated. Do you understand? So now when we have Emeka's boss congratulated him, you could tell that that congratulated does not actually mean congratulation. Like I'm using it for an unusual meaning. Also, it does not mean that we are saying that Emeka has done a job well done. No. It would be a job badly what? Done. But for some reasons, we are trying to be what's kind of subtle or kind of using an understatement in order not to sound too harsh towards Emeka. Do you understand? So example 2 we have, his love for her made him slap her 3 times. So when someone loves you, the person wouldn't want to slap you 3 times. So when you say his love for her, in quote, love, here does not actually mean love, especially when you look at the context. So sometimes when you are using some words for unusual meaning, you can put them in quotes so that your reader can understand that you do not really mean the dictionary meaning. You are actually calling the attention of your reader to another meaning that can be derived in the context of the sentence in which you have used the word in quote. Do you understand? So you can actually use this if you are writing a story in your essay written examination. Do you understand? So let's look at the third function, which is to enclose the titles of books, poems, plays, articles, newspaper, etc. So when we write the title of books, poems, plays, articles, newspaper, we need to call attention to them so that your reader can understand that they are not just the regular words. They are not just sentences. They are not part of just the words that you are using. These are titles of books or poems or plays. Especially for literature students, you know that some of these books, when you want to write them, refer to them in your examination, you need to put them in quote. For example, we have The Guardian, in quote, is my favorite newspaper. And you can also see that when I begin with the double quotation mark here, I also ended with the what? Double quotation mark. Example 2, we have you read Things Fall Apart by Chino Achebe? So because it's a title of a book, I'm not just going to leave it bare like that. Sometimes for literature students, you need to underline title of books. It is a title of poems that you put in quote. Do you understand? So 3, Wole Soyinka's Death and the King's Osman is a classic play. So when you write titles, please do not leave them bare as if they are part of just the normal words that you are writing. Put it in quotes so that you can call attention to it that, oh, this is not just part of what we've been writing, it is a title. So now let's look at how we can use this practically in the examination. So we have question from WAEC 2009, section A, question 1, and it reads, you have been staying with your elder brother for some time, and a misunderstanding ensued. Write a letter to your father, giving at least 3 reasons why you feel you can no longer live with your brother. So this is a question from your WAEC past question, and from what I've read, you could tell that it is an informal letter because you are writing it to your father about your elder brother. So let's see what I've come up with. We have, firstly, brother constantly says, okay, so I need you to understand that this is actually one of the paragraphs that I'm imagining that I will write if I'm going to answer that question. This is not the beginning. So let's say after the introductory paragraph, then I have this. Firstly, brother constantly says, you are not pulling your weight. So you can see that I wanted to quote what brother constantly said to me that made me feel like, okay, I can no longer stay with him. So I have to put it in what? In quotes, because I'm saying it exactly the way he says it to me, which I find unfair. Since I moved in, I've been sharing a room and it's starting to feel suffocating. At other times, it would say, you are not living up to your potential. His words cut deep and I don't feel valued. So now I've been able to put those words in quotes for my father to understand that I am not just reporting, but I have facts. This is what he's saying to me exactly that is making me feel like, okay, I can no longer stay with him. Also, the importance of using quote and saying words the way people have said it exactly, it will make your reader to understand it better, to see it exactly from the perspective from which you are seeing it from, or for them to be able to see it from their own perspective as well. It will not just be you clouding whatever it is that they have said with your own perspective alone. When you say it the way they have said it, they can also perceive it exactly the way the person has said it has said it. Do you understand? Also note that when I began with a single mark, I also closed the quotation with a what? A single quotation mark. So you need to pay attention to that as well. Be consistent. If you want to use the double, use the double. If you want to use the single, use the single. Do not use single and double haphazardly. Don't begin with single, then you go ahead with double. No. But about whether they are different in function, no, their functions are the same. You just need to choose which one you want to use and be consistent with it. Do you understand? Also, another function of the apostrophe that we said earlier is also used here. Since I moved in, have, you can see that because this is an informal letter. So I'm allowed to use this kind of word, this kind of expression. I apostrophe VE, that is, I have omitted HA. The full is I have. Do you understand? Another one is and it's starting to feel suffocating. So that is and it is. So instead of writing it is, I've written it's. It apostrophe S to show that what? This is a what? A contraction. I have omitted I. Also, you are not pulling your weight. You are not pulling your weight is the full. Do you understand? So I've just called your attention to the way I've been able to use the punctuation in the example. Remember that in formal letter, in any other formal type of writing, contractions are not allowed. So, do you have any question? Please, if you do not hesitate to put it in the comment section below. And let's continue in the next part of this video where we are going to discuss the remaining punctuation marks such as the ellipses, the colon, the semicolon, the dash, etc. Trust me, you do not want to miss it. If you are yet to subscribe, kindly do so. Bye for now.